What's up, boys? I'm Moon, and today I got another Tekken tutorial for you guys. Now, this video, I'm going to be covering how to get up in Tekken. Now, the first thing you might be thinking is like, what, how to get up in Tekken? Like, what do you think, I'm an idiot? Like, I play a match, and every match I get knocked down, I get back up. Well, you see, unlike most fighting games like Mortal Kombat and like Street Fighter, when you're on the ground in those games, your options are very limited. You can either, choose to stay down, do like a delayed get up. You could wake up DP in Street Fighter. You could just do like an instant get up as soon as you hit the ground. Like, that's pretty much your only options in those games, right? But in Tekken, when you get knocked down, it's like an entire new game. You know what I mean? Like, because now you're deciding whether or not you're gonna get mixed or not, if that makes sense, right? So I'm gonna be covering all of your get up options in Tekken 8 and when you should and shouldn't use them, and kind of like which ones are trash and which ones are actually kind of viable. So starting off, right, you have multiple states of being down, right? You can either be laying on your back facing the opponent with your feet pointed towards them, or you can be on your back, of course, with your head pointing towards the opponent, like if they flip you around. Then, of course, you have another state where you're laying on your stomach, right? And of course, you can have your head facing the opponent or your feet facing the opponent. Now, like I said, when you're on the ground, making the next decision is pretty important, because characters like Heihachi, when you're trying to get up, or like if you're on the ground and they can just like scoop you. If you're just choosing to get up normally every time, you're really limiting what possibilities you have in order to counter the opponent, right? So all the options, I'm just going to go over them right now when you're on the ground. Obviously, if you just hold back or press back, your character just kind of scoots back and then, they're instantly standing. Now, this is a pretty viable option. This is usually like what most people end up doing. I'd say it's kind of like the most basic way of getting up in Tekken, right? You don't even think about it, you just do it. You press forward, you do a roll getting up. If you press 1, you roll into the background and get up. If you press down and 1, you roll into the foreground and get up. If you press down and hold down, you do 2 rolls and then you stay down. If you press 1 and then hold down, you kind of do the same thing but into the actual background. You could press 3 to do a low getting up. You could press 4 to do a mid kick getting up. You could press 3 plus floor to do like a spring jump up. You could hold forward to roll and then press 1 plus 2 to kind of do like a rolling spring jump. Alright, but then let's say I have Heihachi do like an electric, right? If you get knocked down, if you are holding forward before you hit the ground, your character does what's called a kip up, right? Where, yeah, they basically just kind of do like a flip to get right back onto their feet just by holding forward before you hit the ground. So as you can see, you have a lot of options on getting up as opposed to most other fighting games, right? Now let's kind of go over them and see which ones are good and which ones aren't, right? So just starting off, pressing back, generally good option on getting up if your opponent's not pressuring you too hard, right? Or maybe if they are pressuring you, you just want to get out of range, because you can just instantly get up and block, or maybe just get up and then just kind of counter them with something, as long as it has like a fast startup. Then going over like rolling into the background or into the foreground, right? Now these are generally good options if your opponent is like pressuring you with something that is very linear. So for example, yeah, like Heihachi's forward 2, which is like an uppercut, right? That's like sweeps you up from the ground if you're getting up. Rolling into the background or into the foreground, it's a pretty good option because, you're pretty much avoiding that entire attack overall, right? Then of course, we already know that if we press forward, we could do a roll to get up. Now you'd probably be thinking like, man, why would I want to do that? Like you're rolling right into the opponent, you're pretty much putting yourself in a vulnerable position. Well, as we went over before, you could do a running spring jump or a rolling spring jump. But something else that's important to note, as we already know, like if you're getting up and you press 3 or 4, right, you do like either like a low or a mid kick getting up. However, if you delay it a little bit, your character will do a while rising attack. You see, if I just go from crouch and then press 4 while rising or 3 while rising, if you do the same thing delayed while getting up, your character will do that while rising attack, which kind of makes sense as to why you would want to maybe do a roll forward to kind of get in range to do something like that. Now, this only works for kicks though. You see, if I'm pressing like 1 or 2 getting up, you're not going to do like a twin pistons or something. You're just going to do a normal jab. So I feel like that's also just something kind of important to note is, yeah, you can do those wall rising attacks if you could just kind of delay it a bit. So far we've covered just pressing back, generally good option just to kind of get out of range of your opponent to block, right? Rolling into the background or into the foreground. And then, you know, holding it can be a good option if like you're really trying to confirm their whiff and make sure you have enough time to actually get up, you know what I mean? And then rolling forward, like I generally wouldn't really do that unless you're going for that rolling spring jump, like if you're pretty far away from your opponent already. Because, yeah, you are, like, pretty vulnerable just doing that. Like, you might just end up getting launched again. But with the spring jumps, they have different hit properties, right? 3+4 spring jump is pretty good, like, if your opponent is just pressuring you over and over and over again. But as you can see, though, on block, it's generally unsafe. -14, right? So you might eat a bit of damage if they end up blocking that, like, if they know you're going for it over and over again. However, the rolling spring jump, forward 1+2, you see, you're +2 on that. So you get the next turn, pretty much. These moves are also pretty linear, so, you know, I would be pretty careful because your opponent can end up sidestepping them, but generally a good option getting up off the ground. I just wouldn't abuse it. Now, all these options also apply when you're laying face down on the ground. It's pretty much like the same story. Like, you could do all these same options. The only real difference is that you see if you kind of have like your back turned to the opponent, when you're getting up, you're not going to do like the normal like low or mid getting up. Your character is going to do like the option to kind of flip themselves back around, you see? Also, you can do a spring jump if you press 3+4 when you're face down on the ground. You also can't do the rolling spring jump with 1+2. Then if you're face down, same story, you know, hold back to just get back on your feet to block, forward to roll. Kicks are a bit different getting up like we already went over. You see the low and the high, or the mid, my bad. Slightly different properties, but pretty much the same stuff. But now, back to actually getting knocked down, right? So, Heihachi does an electric, and we already went over the kip up, right? So, with the kip up, I'm gonna be honest, this is generally not a super safe option. You see, like, you doing that, you're kind of just staying in the same spot, and this move, it does hit the opponent, right? Like, when you're getting up, you will kind of hit them a little bit with your legs. And then, of course, you're going to be plus, and then you get the next move. But this is not really a good option. Like, not a lot of people use this. I wouldn't use it at all if it were me. Like, you can use it and, like, have it work in your favor. But generally, it's pretty unsafe, so I would just kind of stay away from this. Like, it's much safer when you get knocked down to either just press back to get right back up, or something we haven't gone over is Tekken, right? You see, if you press 1, 2, or 3, or 4, as soon as you hit the ground, you're basically like, yeah, you're just Tekken getting up pretty much. If you press 1 or 2, you roll into the background, right? If you press 3 or 4, you roll into the foreground. Also a good option if your opponent is pressuring you and you're just trying to like maybe get out of the way of something linear. But something that's really important to note, with characters like King, for example, right? If King does like a giant swing on you, it's very important that you tech it when you're getting up, right? Because with giant swing, you take actually more damage when you get thrown to the ground if you don't end up teching it. So that's just something to mention. Like, if you just get thrown by King and you just kind of like, I don't know, just take it and just hit the ground like that, you'll end up taking more damage. So it's usually recommended that with attacks like that, you just always tech getting up, and then that's usually your best option when getting knocked down, aside from like the kip up, which like we already went over, I wouldn't exactly do that. But yeah, guys, that's all I really got for this video. Just want to make a quick tutorial on just how to get up, because most people underestimate how important that is in Tekken. Because you see, if Heihachi's on the ground, dude, like, you can just do, like, back 4 with Jin. Or, like, with Kazuya, has pretty much the same account with the, what is it, like, the Devil Steel Toe Kick, or whatever it's called. You can just keep getting pressured over and over again on the ground. So, knowing your get-up options is actually way more important than you would think. Brief review. Pressing back, solid option. Pressing forward, wouldn't really do it. Same with the kip up. Doing a spring jump or a rolling spring jump, generally good option if your opponent is just pressuring you over and over again. And then, of course, rolling into the background and rolling into the foreground is actually really good. Allows you to kind of get out of the way of your opponent, maybe set up like a whiff punish or something, maybe, you know, counter them when you're getting up because you rolled out of like the way of their next attack. Generally good option, so keep those in mind. But yeah, that's all I really got to say, man. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it helped you out. Let me know if it did, if there were any of these options you weren't really aware of. Like I said, if you enjoyed, make sure you leave a like, a sub, a comment, share the video with your homies. Let me know in the comments if there's any other like tutorials maybe you'd like for me to make. I already made a video tutorial on how to do electrics and how to wave dash easier, so go check those out if you play Mishimas by any chance. But yeah, that's all I got to say, and I'll see you guys in the next video, whatever I make, man. Peace, y'all.